When a figure as influential as Valentino Rossi breaks his silence, the entire MotoGP world pays attention. Valentino Rossi is more than a 9-time world champion. He remains one of the most trusted voices in motorcycle racing long after stepping away from the grid. His legacy, built over 2 decades of competition across multiple eras, gives him a perspective very few possess. Riders, engineers, journalists, and fans alike consistently look to him for insight because Rossi has witnessed the sport's highs, lows, controversies, and sudden shifts from an insider's vantage point. In recent seasons, Rossi has taken on a new role as a mentor and team owner, shaping the next generation of MGP talent. His VR46 Academy has become one of the sport's most influential development pipelines, producing riders capable of competing for podiums and championships. When Rossi speaks about one of his own protégés, especially someone as high-profile as Francesco Bagnaia, his comments carry both emotional weight and professional authority. So when Rossi recently expressed confusion about Bagnaia's sudden downturn in performance, it wasn't simply an observation. It was a statement that reverberated far beyond casual paddock chatter. Coming from someone known for keeping his assessments measured, his candid admission suggested that something deeper may be unfolding behind the scenes. And for a rider with championship pedigree, receiving this kind of public critique from a mentor is rare, which raises immediate questions about the internal dynamics surrounding Ducati, Bagnaia, and the broader competitive picture heading into 2025. Few riders in recent MotoGP history have risen as quickly or with as much pressure as Francesco "Pecco" Bagnaia. Bagnaia's ascent through the ranks has become a defining storyline of the modern era. After earning significant attention in Moto2 and making the leap into MotoGP with clear promise, he eventually secured the Premier Class title and appeared poised to sustain a long-term era of dominance for Ducati. His riding style, balance under braking, and calm approach in pressure situations made him the ideal candidate to lead the factory team into its next chapter. Entering 2025, expectations were higher than ever. Ducati had assembled one of its strongest lineups in years. Bagnaia was positioned as the stable anchor of that project, and analysts predicted he would remain a constant threat in the championship fight. His earlier successes and the trust placed in him by Rossi amplified this narrative. Bagnaia wasn't just another fast rider, he was meant to be the centerpiece of Ducati's long-term strategy. With talent, mentorship, and machinery all aligned, the stage seemed set for another strong season. That's what made the sudden shift in results all the more surprising. For a rider who had previously thrived under pressure, the drop in performance immediately triggered speculation, not only about on-track issues, but also the off-track dynamics influencing his mindset. Such a sharp contrast between expectation and outcome is rare, and the MotoGP community took notice quickly. The turning point came when Bagnaia's performance dipped so sharply that even Rossi admitted he couldn't understand the situation. The early rounds of the 2025 season painted a concerning picture for supporters of Bagnaia and Ducati. Lap times that once came effortlessly now required visible strain. Races where Bagnaia would typically battle for podium positions turned into defensive struggles just to maintain points. Analysts began charting the data, noting inconsistencies in pace, corner entry behavior, and tire management. Something fundamental had shifted. It wasn't just a matter of a single bad weekend, this was a trend. Each round added new questions, and as the gap to the championship leaders widened, the pressure surrounding Bagnaia intensified. Reporters pressed for updates, Ducati offered controlled answers, and fans waited for clarity. Then came the moment that captured headlines. Valentino Rossi publicly shared that he did not understand Bagnaia's drastic drop in form. For a mentor known for his loyalty and measured tone, this was a strong statement. Rossi's confusion suggested that the usual explanations, setup tweaks, minor injuries, auto weekend variability, were insufficient. His remarks indicated genuine concern, not just for Bagnaia's immediate results, but for the broader trajectory of a rider expected to be a cornerstone of the championship fight. Rossi's reaction shifted the conversation from simple performance analysis to deeper questions. Was this mechanical, psychological, political, or something else entirely? Rossi's next statement was even more telling. He promised to help Bagnaia in every way possible. This wording caught immediate attention because it suggested that the issues Bagnaia faced were not minor. When a respected mentor publicly pledges support at that level, it typically signals that private discussions have already raised alarm. Rossi clarified that he believed in Bagnaia's capabilities, but his tone carried a mixture of concern and urgency. The remark implied that Bagnaia may be confronting pressures beyond lap times. The mention of helping in every way possible hinted at challenges involving mental strain, team dynamics, or difficulties adapting to changes in Ducati's development direction. In the world of MotoGP, where every sentence from a major figure is analyzed, Rossi's choice of words suggested he viewed the situation as layered and potentially destabilizing. Moreover, his public involvement was unusual. Rossi typically avoids speaking too directly about riders' internal struggles, especially those he mentors. For him to make these comments openly signaled that he wanted to control the narrative before speculation spiraled beyond reason. At the same time, it raised new questions about what level of tension or confusion may be occurring inside the Ducati garage and what Bagnaia might be dealing with privately as the 2025 season intensifies. What fueled the speculation further was the growing belief that Bagnaia's struggles were linked to internal pressure, especially with Marc Márquez now in the mix. The addition of Marc Márquez to Ducati's competitive landscape had already created a complex dynamic. Márquez is a multi-time champion with a reputation for pushing equipment and teammates to the edge. His presence naturally shifts the psychological balance within any team environment. For Bagnaia, competing alongside a rider of Márquez's caliber brings unavoidable comparison. Rumors began circulating that certain development choices were aligning more closely with Márquez's aggressive style, potentially leaving Bagnaia in a difficult adaptation phase. Reporters also noted small signs of tension, differing feedback during testing, subtle comments in press conferences, and conflicting interpretations of data from within Ducati's technical group. Additionally, speculation grew around whether Bagnaia felt overshadowed, both by Márquez's history and by the media attention inevitably following him. For a rider expected to lead Ducati, suddenly sharing the spotlight with one of MotoGP's biggest personalities may have introduced unexpected pressure. None of these elements point to a single cause, but together they create an environment ripe for strain. And when performance drops in such a context, the public quickly frames it as a power shift. Rossi's earlier comments only added fuel to the discussion, suggesting that something significant may indeed be unfolding behind the scenes. The most pressing question now is not what happened, but what this means for Bagnaia moving forward. A slump at this stage of his career carries serious implications. Bagnaia was expected to cement himself as Ducati's long-term leader, not face doubts about his stability. If the performance gap continues, Ducati may be forced to reconsider its development priorities, particularly with a rider like Márquez proving competitive in the same machinery. From a broader MotoGP perspective, the situation introduces unpredictability into the championship narrative. A fluctuating Bagnaia changes title projections, affects team politics, and reshapes rivalries that had been forming over several seasons. Sponsors, analysts, and fans all react when a top-tier rider enters uncertain territory. More importantly, the psychological element now becomes a major storyline. Bagnaia must not only regain speed on track, but also rebuild confidence amid growing scrutiny. Rossi's involvement may help stabilize the situation, but public support alone cannot resolve technical or internal challenges if they are indeed contributing factors. What's clear is that the remainder of the 2025 season will shape the next chapter of Bagnaia's career. Whether he rebounds or continues to struggle will influence Ducati's future decisions and potentially reshape MotoGP's competitive hierarchy.